morning, Philippines! I am back! Oh my God. Ang balis ng panahon, my God. Today is actually April 3rd and it's 9:28 p.m. my time. So this will be April 4, 10:28 in the morning in the Philippines. So good morning to all nurses back home and to all my students. How are you guys? Ang balis ng panahon April na. Oh my God. Sa mga tawag dito, Pilipino po na nandito sa Amerika, nagbayad na ba kayo ng tax? Don't forget the deadline of our tax submission. Yeah. And of course, pag April, don't forget, I said this several times, that will be the time when we will have to follow the new generation NCLEX 2023. So for those who are actually planning to take the examination starting this month onwards for 3 years, so you will follow the new generation NCLEX. That's 2023 NCLEX format. But anyway, my God, nakulong ako sa isang buong araw nang sa bahay lang ako. I did not go out. So I stayed all day sa bahay doing nothing. Anyway, before nothing else, I would like to say hi to my good friend Ian John Sumagaysay. He's actually texting me, friend, I'm listening to your podcast. Hi, and also hello to Cham and to all my friends there in Mayo Clinic Hospital. And to all my fellow nurses back in Duluth. Big shout out to my good friend Hunter. How are you? I miss working with you, buddy. Anyway, you know what? Before starting this stream, I was actually contemplating whether to do the stream tonight or not. And I said, I've been talking about MedSurg for quite a while. So I think it's a high time for me to change my topic. You know what? For para lang malaman nyo, before I started teaching MedSurg, I used to teach maternity nursing for 2 years. Dang, 2 years! Dalawang taon ako na nagtuturo ng mga lokya. Oh my God, sabi ko, ayoko na ng maternity. So anyway, so good thing, yung big boss ko dati, sige, wag ka na mag-maternity. Bigyan mo na sa iba yan. And then he asked me, so what concept do you want to teach? And then I told him, I want to teach MedSurg. So since then, nag-MedSurg na ako. So for tonight, we'll talk about menstrual cycle. Sometimes this is a highlighted question in your NCLEX, or not only in NCLEX, sometimes in any qualifying examination. Sometimes you'll be asked about hormones, you'll be asked about the different phases of menstrual cycle. And I know some nurses are actually having confusion with regards to this concept. So my goal for tonight is actually to simplify this concept in such a way that it can easily be understood and easily be recalled when time comes that you will take this examination or you will face questions pertaining to menstrual cycle. Babasa ako ng comments, saglit lang ha. May mga comments na hindi nakikita na visible sa akin kasi nagsistream ako sa ibang platform. So, anyway. Congratulations, by the way. I think I have 2 or 3 students who took the recent the recent NCLEX. So big shout out and congratulations to my baby boy, Edward. Congratulations. He recently passed the NCLEX RN examination. And of course, since I mentioned NCLEX exam, in the Philippines, we offer, what do you call this? Not offer. The government actually is ano bang tawag na appropriate term na to? Or I'll just rephrase it. It's in the nursing law that in the Philippines that we administer board examination twice a year. Okay, so it's different It's far different if you will take the NCLEX because you can take NCLEX any time of the day, right? As long as you're done with the processing, you have an ATT, you can take the examination right away. But in the Philippines, we do conduct board examination or qualifying exam for nurses twice a year. And for this 2023, we will be doing it May. That will be next month, May 27, 28. And we have November 11 and 12. That's a day before my birthday. Oh, by the way, before anything else, big shout out to Astronomical. Hi there. So for all not for all, to all nurses back in the Philippines who will take, not nurses pala, to all student nurses or graduate nurses who are planning to take the board examination anytime soon, may it be this coming May or November, congratulations in advance, okay? So please don't forget, pass the examination. Have some solid experience. You work hard for this, so there's no reason for you to fail the board examination. Okay? Oh my God, I can still remember the time when I took the board exam. I took the board exam December of 2002, December 7 and 8. Room number 13, seat number 13, and guess what? Result came out December 13. That is why some would say 13 is not a good number. Nah, not for me, not applicable because 13 for me is a lucky number. I was born November 13, so 13 is my best friend. Diba? Napansin nyo, kahit sa mga buildings, sa mga elevator, yung mga leveling, minsan walang 13th floor. Sometimes sa hospital, meron ba bang room 13 sa hospital? Hindi ko napansin. But usually sa mga feng shui, di ba? They don't have number 13 because sabi nila hindi daw maganda yung number na 13. Some would say it's a bad omen, but anyway, I don't believe in that because 13 for me is a lucky number. So again, congratulations in advance for those who will take the local board examination and for those who are planning to take the NCLEX as well. So you can take your NCLEX in the Philippines, you can take the NCLEX in Hong Kong or in Saipan if you have a visa. Okay, let's start. We'll talk about menstrual cycle. By the way, if you have any questions, feel free to drop any questions there. And if I know the answer, I will let you know. If I don't, I will let you know as well. You cannot have everything. I'm not saying that I know all those stuff. I can only share, I can only teach what I know. You know what I mean? Ang daming no. Ano ba nangyayari sa akin? Hindi ako na hyperactive. Dami kong kinain na Basta dami kong kinain. Sabi ko, reklamo ako ng reklamo. Oh my God, I'm gaining weight. Look at you, John. You don't have control. You keep on eating. And you don't work out. Yeah, it's been 2 days hindi ako nakapag-work. Anong 2 days? 1 year ka na hindi nag-workout. Ay, wag ka. Nag-workout kaya ako. Mga lang, siguro mga 30 minutes to 1 hour every 6 months. Ang ayaw ko lang talaga yung pag nag-workout ka, tapos after that following day, you will have myalgia. Take note, medical term, myalgia. What is myalgia? Myalgia is a medical term that describes muscle pain. Kung di mo alam yung spelling, i-search mo na lang. Anyway, big shout out to my family in Las Vegas. I think my granny is watching right now. Hi, Mom. By the way, we call our granny Mom. And of course, big shout out to my aunt, Janalee, who is actually working as a dialysis nurse in Las Vegas, as well as to my aunt in Hawaii. Okay. And she's working as a case manager. Can you believe that? We're a family of nurses. Nakakaloka lang pag family of nurses ka, pag may tipon-tipon, yung topic nyo, mga pasyente nyo, di ba? Minsan nagtatanungan kayo, anong ginagawa nyo pag ganon. Siyempre ako tahimik lang, mga superior ko sila. Mga senior ko sila. And by the way, there is a big birthday greeting here. Super advanced, happy, akala ko para kanino, para sa akin pala. Thank you so much, Astronomical. Sabi niya, super advance happy birthday, sir. O hala, sige, maraming maraming salamat. Para sa'yo to. But anyway, thank you so much for the... Sobra naman advance ng greeting mo. November pa yun. Pero since alam niyo na November 13 yung birthday ko, tumatanggap na po ako ng mga advance na regalo. Pwede po GCash, pwede po Zelle, pwede po Venmo. Ayan. Mag-lecture nga ako. Oh my God. So we'll talk about menstrual cycle. Okay, let's try to turn off this background music. There you are. So we'll talk about menstrual cycle. Let me share my screen, guys. Share screen. Entire screen there and there. Whiteboard. Ano ba itong pinagsusulat ko dito? Access route. Oh, it was my last lecture where we talk about dialysis. Okay, so we'll talk about menstrual cycle, okay? Okay. So when I say menstrual cycle, ibig sabihin paulit-ulit siya, no? Paulit-ulit siya. So based the book, when you say menstrual cycle, the accepted period of menstrual cycle is 25 to 35 days. Okay, but the average is 28 days. So it's a 28-day cycle, but the accepted range is 25 to 35. Okay? Now, your menstrual cycle, before we discuss menstrual cycle, tandaan muna natin yung mga hormones that will play a vital role that is actually present during the discussion of menstrual cycle. Okay? May mga hormones, may mga structures po tayo. Okay? Now, let's begin with these hormones. Now, anyway, this is what we call your pituitary gland. Okay, pituitary gland is divided into two. So we have your, let's say this is your anterior and this is your posterior pituitary gland. Okay. By the way, another name of your anterior pituitary gland, you also call this as your adenohypophysis. And your posterior pituitary gland, you also call this as your neurohypophysis. Okay. Now, anterior pituitary gland produces 7 hormones. Posterior pituitary gland produces 2 hormones. You know what? I think I have a discussion on this. I believe so. I mean, one of my video clips, I talk about endocrine. So if you know this part, you skip this one, you drag the mouse, go or proceed directly to menstrual cycle. But if not, if you forgot this concept, then you better stay. Okay, and you listen to this one. So anterior pituitary gland or adenohypophysis produces 7 hormones. Posterior pituitary gland produces 2 hormones. Okay, now what are those 7 hormones produced by the anterior pituitary gland? So I said 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Posterior 2 hormones. So let's identify. Again, there are 7 hormones produced by the APG, and these are the following. You have your MSH. What's MSH? Melanocyte stimulating hormone. Then you have your GH. What's GH? Growth hormone. Then we also have your prolactin. Okay. Then we have FSH. FSH. Your FSH stands for your follicle stimulating hormone. Then we have LH. By the way, LH stands for luteinizing hormone. Then we have TSH, that's your thyroid stimulating hormone. And last is your ACTH. And this ACTH stands for adrenocorticotropic hormone. So if you try to count them, there are 7 hormones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Correct. And for the posterior part, there are only 2 hormones produced here. You have your ADH, that's your antidiuretic hormone. You also call this your vasopressin. And of course, last is your oxytocin. Okay, oxytocin, which is essential for what? Milk ejection or letdown reflex. Anyway, going back to menstrual cycle, there are 2 hormones essential here. You have the FSH and the LH. Don't forget that FSH is your follicle stimulating hormone and LH your luteinizing hormone. And these 2 hormones are actually produced by the anterior pituitary gland or produced by the adenohypophysis. Okay, now, who stimulates the pituitary gland to produce hormone? Of course, your hypothalamus. Now, if you can still remember, this is the hormonal pathway. hypothalamus. Hypothalamus stimulates your pituitary gland. Pituitary gland. Okay? Once stimulated, your pituitary gland produces a hormone. Okay? Listen carefully. Case a statement. Hormones are specific. So when I say hormones are specific, it goes to its target structure. So if that hormone goes to a structure, not his target structure, then there's no effect. The effect is only present or applicable or effective to its target structure. Therefore, hormones are specific. And when the endocrine structure or the endocrine gland produces hormone, it goes directly to the bloodstream. Remember, in your basic anatomy physiology, endocrine glands are considered to be ductless gland. It doesn't have a duct. When it produces a substance, when it produces a hormone, it goes directly to the bloodstream. Okay? So anyway, when hormones are released, it goes to its target cell or target structure. Ano bang G? It goes to a target cell or target structure, and then there will be effect. Or shall I say effects? So this is what we call the hormonal pathway. Okay, just to recap, hypothalamus regulates the activity of pituitary gland. Once stimulated, pituitary releases hormone. It goes to your bloodstream. It wanders in the body until such time it reaches its target structure or target cell. When the hormone reaches its target structure or target cell, then that's the time there will be an effect, or shall I say effects. Okay, let me give you a clear example. Let's say that this is the mammary gland. Okay, just an example. This is the nipple, okay, the areola. And let's say this is a baby boy. My God. Sing laki lang ng ulo ng baby boy ang mammary gland. Please bear with my drawing, okay? Anyway, this is the baby boy, and the baby boy sabi niya, I need milk. I need milk. So the mother na will offer her breast, and the baby will suck the nipple. Okay, you know what? That sucking of the nipple is a stimuli. It sends signals to your brain, goes to your hypothalamus, and hypothalamus hypothalamus will interpret that, oh, somebody is sucking sa nipple, somebody is sucking your breast. So what will happen? Your hypothalamus will text, oh, nagte-text sila, oh yes, unlimited yung kanilang data plan. Hypothalamus now will stimulate your pituitary gland, and once stimulated, the pituitary gland now will release the first hormone, and that is what we call your oxytocin. So oxytocin is a hormone produced by the pituitary gland. Correct. What part of pituitary? Posterior pituitary gland, or your neural hypophysis, right? So once oxytocin is released, it goes to its target structure. So tell me, what are the target structures of your oxytocin based in your anatomy physiology? And those are your what? Of course, you have your mammary gland and uterus, right? So going back, I said that hormones are specific. So when this oxytocin reaches the uterus, what will happen? The uterine muscle will contract. That's the effect. Contraction of the uterine muscle. What else? When oxytocin reaches the mammary gland, it will facilitate contraction, releasing what? The milk, okay? The breast milk. And what do you call that? You call that a sure let down reflex, or we call that a sure milk ejection. Remember, I used the word ejection. I did not say milk production or lactation. Milk production is for prolactin. Milk ejection is for oxytocin. See, they follow the pathway, right? They follow the pathway. So if your hypothalamus, pituitary gland, hormone, target structure, then you'll have effect. Hold on, excuse me. Sorry about that. Okay. Now, going back to your menstrual cycle, so we have your FSH, okay, you have your LH. Now, another hormone you need to remember is your estrogen. Estrogen. Now, what is this for? Estrogen is a hormone that inhibits, okay, it inhibits FSH. Now, what do you mean by this? It means to say that if estrogen is so high, okay, it sends signal to your brain to stop releasing FSH. Okay, so again, if there's too much estrogen in the body, it sends signals to your brain to stop releasing FSH. So technically, it inhibits FSH. Now, what else? Your estrogen is also a hormone that causes proliferation. Okay, proliferation. Proliferation of what? Proliferation of uterine, okay? Uterine lining, or specifically endometrial lining. Now, why do you think it's essential for the uterine lining to proliferate? What is the significance of proliferation? If the tissue will proliferate, if the cell will proliferate, then what will happen? It thickens. Am I right? So why do you think is it important for the endometrial lining of the uterus to thicken? It is important for implantation, getting ready for incoming baby, right? So they prepare the uterus for you to get pregnant. Okay, so technically estrogen prepares the uterus for implantation. How? By causing proliferation of the endometrial lining. That's it. Now, progesterone, on the other hand, okay, progesterone, on the other hand, is a hormone that inhibits LH. So just like your estrogen, if progesterone nabubulol ako, no, sorry, if progesterone is so high, what will happen? If progesterone is so high, it inhibits LH. It signals the brain, hey, you have to stop producing LH. Okay, so that's your progesterone. What else? Your progesterone will increase, okay, will increase vascularity of the uterus. Now, why do you think you need to increase vascularity of uterus? Remember, if there's increased vascularity, there's good blood supply. So common sense will tell us that if there is good blood supply, then it will maintain the course of pregnancy. Am I right? That is why we said that progesterone is said to be the most important hormone, because it maintains the course of pregnancy. If there's increased vascularity in the uterus, there's good blood supply to developing embryo, it maintains the course of pregnancy. Amazing. Amazing. All right. That's your progesterone. You know what? There are a lot of effects of progesterone and estrogen. Okay. One of this will increase mucus production. One can cause body temperature elevation. One of this can cause water retention. But those are other effects. Okay. But I will not talk about all those stuff. I will only mention things needed for menstrual cycle. Okay. So you go back to your maternity nursing. Okay? So please do not forget this. So, ibig sabihin, if you look at their pairing, the partner of FSH is estrogen, right? The partner of LH is your progesterone. So out of this, you can drive a good mnemonic. And what's the good mnemonic for this? And that is what we called FELP. Okay? I authored this FELP in order for me to easily remember menstrual cycle and the pairing. And of course, the sequence of what we called hormone release during menstrual cycle. Okay? So we have your FSH. The partner of FSH is estrogen. Then you have your LH. The partner of LH is your progesterone. So don't forget the mnemonic FELP. Okay? Don't forget the mnemonic FELP. Okay, I hope that's clear. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clear my whiteboard and arrange them accordingly, designed for my discussion. Okay, now, when you say menstrual cycle, sorry, when you say menstrual cycle, there are actually 3 phases of menstrual cycle. Okay, there are 3 phases. The first phase is what we call the menstrual phase. So what is this menstrual phase? This is the phase where you have your period. This is the phase wherein you have your mens. Am I right? So basically, when you have your regla, when you have your period, that is the first phase of menstrual cycle. Some thought that when you bleed, when you have your mens, when you have your period, that's the last phase. Wrong. That is the first phase of menstrual cycle. Okay? That's your menstrual phase. And the second phase is what we call proliferative phase. Proliferative phase. Okay? And the last phase is what we call your secretory phase. Yeah, just a heads up, if you read other OB nursing book or other review materials, sometimes they have another phase. Okay? And that there's an additional number 4, and we call that a ischemic phase. Okay? Ischemic phase. But anyway, for my discussion, I will only talk about 3 phases of menstrual cycle. Okay? I will not include the ischemic phase. Okay? So we have 3 phases. Yung pang-apat, sometimes ini-include nila. Okay, so anyway, so I will just focus with the three phases of menstrual cycle: the menstrual phase, the proliferative phase, and the secretory phase. Okay, I hope this one is clear. And here we have your FELP. Okay, remember the mnemonic FELP? Okay, so have your FSH, estrogen, luteinizing LH or luteinizing hormone, and then your progesterone. So your pairing will be like this: FSH, then you have here your estrogen, then here is your LH, partner is your progesterone. Okay, and here, okay, is our uterus. Please bear with my drawing. Okay. Okay. What is this? Why is it the cervix is open? This is the vaginal area. So this is the vaginal canal. Okay. This is the cervix. This is the uterus, the fundus of the uterus. Okay. This two here are what we call the fallopian tube or the uterine tube. The finger-like, is that a finger-like projection? Basta, it's a finger-like projection. We call that as your what? Fimbriae. Okay, and this will be the ovary. Okay, the ovary. I hope this one is clear. Okay, now inside the ovary, there is a premature egg cell. Okay, a premature egg cell. Now, and then there will be transformation going on in there until such time we will call that a your primary follicle. By the way, before it turned into primary follicle, we call that as your primordial follicle. Okay? Primordial follicle. Okay, follicle. Okay? Now, here's the twist. Not the twist, actually. Here's the scenario. So again, remember I said there are three phases of your menstrual cycle. The menstrual phase. Remember I said the menstrual phase, that's the phase where you have your mens. Okay? On the third day, taray, no? Parang soko. On the third day, before the incident, di ba? Anyway, on the third day of menstrual cycle, your estrogen and progesterone are very low. Okay, estrogen and progesterone are low. That's on the menstrual phase. So you have your estrogen and then you have your progesterone, low estrogen, low progesterone. That's on the third day of the menstrual cycle. So if you will be asked in the board examination or any qualifying examination, what are levels of estrogen and progesterone during menstrual phase? Your answer will be low estrogen, low progesterone. What will happen now? The body will be able to pick up that there's a decrease in the estrogen and a decrease in the progesterone. Okay, so they have to increase those hormones. So the first hormone released, okay, by the anterior pituitary gland is your FSH. Okay, your FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, remember hypothalamus will stimulate the pituitary gland to produce FSH. Once FSH is released, it needs to have a target cell or target structure to take an effect. Am I right? Right. So what will happen? This FSH, okay, will get inside this part, okay, and converts this primary follicle to become Graafian follicle. Okay. What will happen if it is now Graafian follicle? If it is Graafian follicle, don't forget this in your examination that Graafian follicle is a cell rich in estrogen. Okay? So once Graafian follicle is present, it starts to increase your estrogen in the body. Okay? So again, what will happen? Once Graafian is released, your estrogen starts to increase. So again, what cell is rich in estrogen? Your answer is Graafian follicle. Okay? What will happen if estrogen is increased? Remember, I mentioned a while ago, your estrogen can cause proliferation of the endometrial lining. Therefore, it causes thickening, proliferation of the endometrial lining of the uterus. So there is proliferation of the endometrial lining. Remember, I mentioned the reason why they have to do this. They have to do this to prepare the uterus for implantation, preparing for you to have a baby. Am I right? Isn't it amazing? The body is doing it for you. Okay, so there is proliferation. So remember, when estrogen is high, it causes proliferation of the endometrial lining. That is why we call it as proliferative phase, because there is proliferation of the endometrial lining. Now tell me, what hormone is high or elevated during proliferative phase? It is your estrogen that increases. Now, what about your progesterone? Your progesterone is still low. That is why if you will be asked, what are levels of estrogen and progesterone during proliferative phase? Your answer will be high estrogen, low progesterone. Question, what hormone is elevated during proliferative phase? A hormone called estrogen. Remember, it is the estrogen that is high during this phase that causes proliferation. That is why, what is another name of your proliferative phase if estrogen is high? You also call this a sure estrogenic phase. Oh, that's the reason why we call it estrogenic phase. Now, what happened to your primary follicle? It converts your primary follicle to become what? Graafian follicle. Graafian follicle. That is why we also call this as your what? We also call this as your follicular phase. Oh, okay. So that makes sense now. So proliferative phase, estrogenic phase, follicular phase are the same. So if you will be asked what are levels of estrogen and progesterone during follicular phase, your answer will be increased estrogen, decreased progesterone. What are levels of estrogen and progesterone during menstrual phase? Your answer will be decreased estrogen, decreased progesterone. What cell rich in estrogen? Your answer is Graafian follicle. Now, what will happen if there's too much estrogen? If there's too much estrogen, it tells the brain, hey, you have to stop producing FSH. So what will happen now? FSH will start to decrease. Remember, what did I tell you? Estrogen inhibits FSH release. So it's one way of telling you, hey, you know FSH, I'm high now. There's a lot of estrogen in the body, so you better stop. Okay, you better stop. Okay, stop, look, and listen. You have to stop. So that is why your estrogen inhibits your FSH. So don't forget that. On the 13th day, about 13th day of your menstrual cycle, masyadong mataas ang estrogen, mababa pa rin ang progesterone. So malalaman ng katawan yan. Mataas yung estrogen, pero mababa pa rin yung progesterone. Kailan tayo mag-produce? Kailan itaas natin yung progesterone? So there is what we call a physiologic effect. Am I right? So the pituitary gland, again, will produce the second hormone, particularly anterior pituitary gland, okay, and that hormone produces a luteinizing hormone. So again, if it is a hormone, it has a target structure or cell. So what will happen now? Your luteinizing hormone will go to your Graafian follicle, okay, will go to your Graafian follicle and converts Graafian follicle to become what? To become corpus luteum. And guess what? If it is corpus luteum, it is a cell rich in progesterone. Okay? So ibig sabihin, if it is corpus luteum, if the Graafian follicle is converted or transformed to corpus luteum, expect that your progesterone will increase, will start to increase. So your progesterone now will increase. It will bump up. Okay? So what will happen if progesterone is high? If progesterone is high, what did I tell you? It increases vascularity of the uterus. Oh, that makes sense. Why is it important for the uterus to be highly vascularized? In order to maintain the course of pregnancy. Para mabubuhay yung bata kasi maganda yung blood supply. Kaya ang tawag dyan ay secretory phase. Why secretory? Because it is during this phase that they secrete the most important hormone that maintains the course of pregnancy. And what is that hormone? That is what we call progesterone. Am I right? So progesterone is high. That is why we call it secretory phase. So if you will be asked, what are levels of estrogen and progesterone during secretory phase? Increase estrogen, increase progesterone. Can you follow? That makes sense? I hope you can follow, nurses. Anyway, let's go back. So again, progesterone is high. So tell me, what hormone is elevated during secretory phase? Remember, this is the phase where progesterone is elevated. So you also call this as what? You also call this as your progesteronic phase. Okay? Now, what happened to your graphene follicle? Your graphene follicle transformed into what? Corpus luteum. Corpus luteum. Luteum. That is why you also call this as your luteal phase. Okay, that makes sense now. So that is why, don't forget this, secretory phase, progesteronic phase, luteal phase are the same. Okay, so tell me, what are levels of estrogen and progesterone during luteal phase? Your answer will be increased estrogen, increased progesterone. Let's go back. What will be the second effect if there's too much progesterone? If there's too much progesterone, what did I tell you? It inhibits LH. It's one way of telling you, hey, there's too much progesterone. We no longer need LH. You have to decrease LH release. So LH now is inhibited. Okay? Now, so what will happen? It will continue to increase this for about 10 days. If after 10 days there is no fertilization, okay, your corpus luteum will get sad. Okay, there is no fertilization. There is no IVTT, intravaginal chug-chug. Okay, kung walang sexual activity at hindi na fertilize ang egg, the corpus luteum will start to degenerate. Until such time, we call that as corpus albicans. Oh, so that's the transition. Yes. Okay? So pag walang fertilization, what will happen? It will degenerate, it will deteriorate from corpus luteum to corpus albicans. So what will happen now? No fertilization, this this membrane in the highly vascularized area will slough off, and you will have the menstrual phase again because it's a cycle. Okay, so please don't forget this in your qualifying examination. Don't forget your mnemonic FELP. And sometimes, tinatanong yung mga cells, sometimes tinatanong yung levels of hormones, and sometimes you'll be asked to arrange the transition of the different cells. So don't forget the transition. Primary follicle to graphene follicle to corpus luteum to corpus albicans. Okay, so don't forget this. So let's try to recap. What are levels of estrogen and progesterone during menstrual phase? Your answer should be decreased estrogen, decreased progesterone. What cell rich in estrogen? Answer, graphene follicle. What are levels of estrogen and progesterone during follicular phase? Your answer will be increased estrogen, decreased progesterone. What cell rich in progesterone? Your answer should be corpus luteum. What are levels of estrogen and progesterone during case secretory phase? Your answer, increased estrogen, increased progesterone. Can you follow? I hope so. Okay, so remember, the corpus luteum is a cell rich in progesterone because, again, I've been telling this, progesterone is an important hormone. It maintains the course of pregnancy. Why? Because it increases vascularity of the uterus. Okay, now, please, okay, don't forget this one. Once the egg is fertilized, it will undergo cell division. It will undergo cell division until such time it will develop into an embryo, into a fetus, and then it will be expelled out from the uterus. One thing to remember here is that corpus luteum must be maintained, especially on the first trimester. Okay, don't forget this in your exam. On the first trimester, there should be elevated HCG, or human chorionic gonadotropin. Why is it that your human chorionic gonadotropin is expected to be elevated on the first trimester? Because your human chorionic gonadotropin will maintain your corpus luteum. Why is it important for you to maintain this cell? Because remember, I said progesterone. Okay? Now, Okay, on the second trimester, your human chorionic gonadotropin is expected to decrease in level. Okay, why is it on the second trimester your HCG should decrease? Because you no longer need the corpus luteum to produce estrogen, progesterone to maintain those hormones, because during the second trimester the placenta is fully developed. Therefore, it will take over the activity of corpus luteum in producing the hormone. So again, HCG or human chorionic, by the way, your human chorionic gonadotropin is the specific hormone used to check during pregnancy. Remember, we do pregnancy tests, we check presence of human chorionic gonadotropin. Okay, so in short, if you do your pregnancy test internal positive, it means to say that there's HCG in the urine. Okay, anyway, so on the first trimester, your HCG should be high, but on the second trimester, when the placenta is fully developed, expect that the human chorionic gonadotropin should decrease or should fall. In the event, in the event that the human chorionic gonadotropin is still elevated on the second trimester, then you suspect that there is H-mole. Okay, so again, on the second trimester, the HCG level should decrease. In the event that on the second trimester, your HCG level is still high, you suspect H-mole. And remember, one management of your H-mole is you do dilatation and curettage, correct? Now, we remove that, we expel that. Now, post-dilatation and curettage, your HCG should decrease. Okay, it should decrease post-management or post-DNC. In the event, again, that post-DNC for patient with H-mole, your human chorionic gonadotropin is still high post-DNC, then you suspect choriocarcinoma. Okay, you suspect choriocarcinoma. Okay, I hope those things are clear. Okay, I hope you learned something, guys. There. Sabi ni Astronomical, 50% discount sa NCLEX review, sir. Ha 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 ha. Ay di ha 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 rin. We will see, okay? Mommy Mai, pa-shoutout po. Hello, Mommy Mai. How are you? Okay, and here, who do we have here? Ay, ano to? Eileen88 said, thank you, Sir John. Welcome. I know, you know. So how oral contraceptive affects menstrual cycle? Your oral contraceptives is fooling yourself that you're pregnant, where in fact you're not. Okay. So again, don't forget this one. Your FELP, your follicle stimulating hormone, your estrogen, your luteinizing hormone, and then you have your progesterone. So please do not forget the transition. Okay? I hope you learned something, guys. Okay, what time is it? It's 10 o'clock. Yeah, so this will be, so I think if 10 o'clock na dito ng gabi, it will be 11 ng umaga sa Pilipinas. You know, I've been, ay, nawala, ano yun? Salamat kaayo, sir. God bless you. God bless everybody. Okay. Oh, by the way, hello to Janet Lee.
He's my miracle
Diba?
child.
He's my miracle child. Sabi ni Kristen. Okay, who do we have here? Janet Lee, thank you, Sir John, always amping. Welcome, thank you so much. And we also have here, Facebook. Hi, sir, sabi niya. Hindi ko nababasa yung name dito. Facebook user lang nakalagay. Anyway, I think that's all, guys. Thank you so much. I will try to stream again tomorrow, and then I'll think what concept do you want me to discuss tomorrow. Sabi ni Astronomical, thank you sir, blessing ka sa amin. Oh, that's so sweet. Just let me know what concept, okay? Anyway, thank you so much, guys. If you reached this far, thanks a lot. I hope you learned something. Drop a message or send a private message to me if you want me to talk about a specific nursing concept. Okay, God bless. Keep safe and let's enjoy life. Bye. Peace out.